Good morning and welcome back to Ribbon Candy Hooking. I'm Deanna. It's great to see you. Happy Monday morning. Monday morning. It's a good one though, isn't it? I mean, it is for us here in Connecticut, it is a beautiful winter. Now I'm looking out the window, seeing the trees go like this and thinking, is it a beautiful morning? It is beautiful and bright. It is just what winter brings. Happy Monday. How's it going? How was the weekend? I'm looking to catch up. I'm looking to return to this amazing book by Remy Levesque, the Barachois collection from the Barachois Church in New Brunswick. We started looking at this book. It is gorgeous. It is like the playbill for the church that holds all of these amazing pillows by artists from all over the world. We started talking about this, I think, on Wednesday. And then I hope you caught our live show on Thursday. That was the gallery night, the beginning of gallery night. I'm going to conclude the gallery night this coming weekend. But what a great start. What a great weekend. I have so much to catch up on you about. God, we are moving quickly toward the end of the year and for us, the holidays. So really, whew. But first, let me say good morning to Linda. Great to see you. And Becky, great to see you. Happy Monday in gloomy Indiana. That's okay. It's good rug hooking weather. You're right. Carol, good to see you. I guess you're back from your travels. Happy coffee time, wrapping gifts. Oh, God, yeah. Whew, that's going to be like a saga. I think my mother's giving me some help with that. Thank God, because um, the gift wrapping thing is epic. I used to enjoy it so much, and not so much anymore. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. I used to find it really. I guess now rug hooking has replaced that need to do something with my hands. It's busy work, because I just think about it and I go, oh God. Hope I didn't get the stupid glitter paper or the velvet flocked paper because it ain't going to stick when you tape it, that kind of thing, you know. Not great associations anymore, but it is a fun time of year. Holy mackerel, is it fun? Jane, good to see you. Sounds like everyone's busy. Andrea, good to see you. Andrea, we hadn't yet gotten to your segment on gallery night last time, so it'll be coming up this weekend. I don't want you to think that I forgot about you. Christmas lights just switched on, ready to roll. I love it. I love it. I've got some Christmassy talk for you this morning as well. I can't resist. Ryan, great to see you. Happy Monday from sunny North Texas. Hope you all had a fabulous week. Peace and love to you all. Joy and to you, Joyce. Great to see you. Happy Monday from gloomy in Pennsylvania and Illinois. Holy mackerel, Dave. Great to see you. Sunny in Toronto. More cinnamon danishes and coffee. Oh, that sounds fantastic. Cat's Gallery. Good morning in Southern California. You're getting your hair done. Oh man, talking about hair, I'm telling you, I don't know if you can, there's such craziness going on. I dyed it the green color by accident. Thank you all for not noticing that. It was not good. And then I dyed it this dark kind of red rust color because I was trying to wash away. I was doing opposites. Hardly ever use the color wheel, but I'll tell you, I was using it for that, going, what would be the opposite? But it did keep some crazy color in, which I like. And it's temporary. It's okay. Um, yeah, my sister does my hair and she does it beautifully, but I did this myself with, these temporary dye colors. I thought, oh, how fun will this be to surprise the kids with crazy hair? They love it when I look extra crate. As I say, as I put these glasses on, let me take these glasses off. I think I look crazy enough, just as it stands. We'll stick with that. I bet your hair will be beautiful. I'm sure it's going to be beautiful. I'm going to start with a recap. I had such a nice weekend this weekend. It was just beautiful and perfect. We had a long weekend. That was why I ran gallery night a night early on Thursday. It was the weekend that we go to Concord, Massachusetts. And if you don't know Concord, Massachusetts, it is fantastic. It's a kind of a suburb of Boston. It is known for most primarily two different things. The shot heard around the world, right? The beginning of the American Revolution, the actual fighting and the crescendo, the Minutemen, all of that stuff. But also, it is known as American Bloomsbury because there are so many famous American writers who have lived there. And at one point, during sort of the golden age of American literature, lived there at the same time, like Louisa May Alcott and Henry David Thoreau, Ralph Waldo Emerson, Nathaniel Hawthorne. It was just a hornet's. There's a great book called American Bloomsbury about their lives intertwined all at the same time. Very interesting, beautiful historic place. Um, Really, really fun. Rita says, "Good morning. The gals in your family have beautiful hair." Thank you so much. Oh man, I'm going to show you. I'll show you some pictures I took quickly just to catch you up on the weekend. I had so many great ideas while I was there. Had such inspiration. Did a little bit of antique shopping. I'll show you some of the things that I picked up. It was just fantastic. It's such a historic place. It just gives me the not only the Christmas vibe, but it just puts me in that sort of historic mind frame of wanting to do more historic crafts and just lots of ideas. It was a oops, wait a minute, wrong window. Pam, that's yours. Okay, let's come over here and let's start with I'll run you through the weekend just as a recap. I wish I could see all of your weekends because I love knowing everyone's business. This is the Colonial Inn in the center of Concord, Mass. God, it's such a beautiful old rambling place. Some of it was there. Part of this building was there during the American Revolution and was also uh, the same part that Henry David Thoreau lived in for a while. It was also the same part that used to be like the general store as one would drive through on the old coaching route. But it was just, it's absolutely beautiful. We've been going there every year forever. Now, as soon as we get to the inn, we drop our bags, drop the kids in the room, which they love, and take off for the town because it's a beautiful, beautiful, it's in my mind like the best concentrated village situation that I know of. That's not like city scale, it's small, but there's no chain stores, just a kind of a dogleg road with one road off of it that is lined with stores, totally unique stores, all decorated for Christmas. It is just amazing. So I always have to get out there as quickly as possible and see what's going on. And this is not a good photo because I took it of the display window, but um, do you see that this is a Christmas tree that is made out of felt, just cut felt, on kind of rings, different sized rings, and it goes. It's what's it called? Um, Come on, what's the word? Stacked, ascending. It'll come to me. From big to small, small to big, rings going all the way up. And I thought it's very, very plain. It's very simple. You could do lots of different sorts of versions of this ascending in size. And you know what it reminded me of was these guys. I mean, I have honestly hundreds of hoops that I don't know. Some of them are the big ones, some of them are the small ones. I have ones that are like this big, right? I mean, what in the world would I do with that? Like embroider a button? I mean, so I'm thinking, oh, interesting. I wonder if I could create a situation. Now, you'd have to. I'm guessing. Let's look at the picture again. I'm guessing what they've done to um, ascending is not the word I was thinking of. What's the word when something goes from small to big or vice versa? No, not suspend. They are suspended. Thanks, Ariane. Um, no, come on. It's going to drive me crazy. It better not wake me up at 3:13. I bet it will. Um, it'll come back to me. But I think they are suspended because I'm wondering how they were. Let's come back hanging, and I don't see a base. I think they are hanging from a string. Nesting, no, no, not ascending, descending. No. Graduated. Thank you, Judy. Graduated. Thank you. That's the one. That's the one. Perfect. It doesn't matter, but it would have woken me up at 3:13. I've been waking up at 3:13 routinely. It is driving me out of my mind. It didn't happen for a while. It's happening again. Maybe it's the holidays ramping up in my brain going, did you get the weighted blanket for this one? Did you get the slippers for that one? Did you get the non-skid socks for the stocking? This kind of conversation, at 3:13. Not ideal timing. But I really like this idea, and I think that it is suspended. I think it's hanging because it's probably quite lightweight, and I think it's strung. Crystal, great to see you. I hope your project is going well. I've been thinking about you with so much love. Happy holidays. I love this idea, and I'm going to do it. I don't know if I'm going to have time to do it before Christmas, but I have hundreds of these in the garage. These were just ones that were up there in a box with 100 other ones. But I want to see what sizes I have and see if I could. And I'm debating about whether I would want the whole thing green or if I would want it kind of ombre, like to dye something from very light, almost like the Magdalena Doodle Tote, to quite dark. And how pretty that would be. Because, you could, in theory, do something like that, suspend it, and hang actual ornaments off of it. I mean, that really would be something. I thought it was a beautiful, very simple project. I mean, it's probably been in a million decorating Christmas magazines over the years. Um, right there with you on early morning walking. Oh, I missed something. I missed something about an early morning walk. Um, oh, it sounds great. Whoever said it, it sounds great. Anyway, I'm really inspired by this. I think I'm gonna get going on this idea sooner rather than later because it is the season. I'm just showing you how crazy we are with our room parties. We are not barbarians. We get into the room. My mother maybe overdoes it a little bit with the snacks because this is like an hour before dinner, but also, right? And so a few minutes later, it's kind of like we immediately decide it is time to order room service rather than walk. We also celebrate my son Teddy's birthday while we're there. His birthday is coming up on the 17th, so not quite yet, but we celebrate it while we're there. This is a plush toy that he wanted me to commission, so I bought it off of a website, and it cost a fortune. And unfortunately, I sent the wrong photo, and he told me that, and I wasn't paying attention. And I had them make this expensive mailbox for him, which he really loves, but it's supposed to have arms and legs, which it doesn't. So guess who's going to Joann's this afternoon to buy black fleece to make arms and legs for a $220 mailbox. Not too happy about that. It did not ruin my trip, but it easily could have, I'll tell you. This is what his sister gave him for Christmas. Autism mode. You see the switch on and off for his birthday. He loves this thing. It's very easy for him now to walk in and out of stores and restaurants and to be, sometimes he's on his game, sometimes he is not. But I think that this t-shirt makes it profoundly clear to everybody that there might be a moment in the conversation that leaves you guessing. Super, super, super fun. He's such a cutie. He got a puppet from my mom for his birthday, an actual puppet almost as big as him. He absolutely loves it. I love these photos of him because he does not let me take normal photos of him, if you've noticed. Now, downstairs was a great, not as many as usual, but they had their usual in the lobby gingerbread houses. And it was joyful, Judy. Oh, Judy says, I'm working on a rag tree with buttons using all kinds of colored scraps. Same idea. Oh, are you using is it the same kind of rag tree that I just showed, or are you doing the rag tree that's behind me, or is it a different rag tree altogether? Sounds amazing. Is it one of the ones in one of the frames, Judy? Like the old jewelry trees and stuff? I love a gingerbread house. I love a gingerbread house. I just photographed the ones that are the best. I mean, this one to me is over the top. It was ginormous. So, so, so gorgeous. I really want to learn how to do this. Like the little peppermints out front and the peppermints, the canes that are lining the door like molding, right? God, it's just so pretty. The gold coins leading up the path, the peeps standing out front. I mean, this was really beautiful. I love that one. And I also love the Barbie tree, the Barbie house with the dipped pink pretzels. I know not everybody's into Barbie, but we really liked the movie. And everything was Barbie this year. So I thought this was a fantastic brainstorm for them to have out there. There was only a few gingerbread houses. It seemed like not that many people participated, but the signature poinsettia tree was out there, which I love. And, I looked at how this was made. It's actually like a bunch of holders holding pots of poinsettias. So it's not like it's stacked, right, like a house of cards, because that would really be a house of cards in a lobby where people are like lined up waiting. So pretty though, so super festive. And we took a walk in the evening. We walked by the art center, and everything is arts in Concord. It's super, super, super artsy, right? Major artsy fartsy concentration. But it's such a great atmosphere. And we walked by and we noticed that past this big sort of industrial looking building, which is very unremarkable during the day. At night, it's really pretty because you can tell that all the different artists who have rooms there have put different lights up. It's a real patchwork of holiday lighting. And I thought, man, that just looks so, so, so good. Really pretty. And then in the morning, now here, right? This is going to be my next theme in 2024. We are well into our Jane Austen um, adventures for December, right? This is like a very Jane Austen, very British Christmas we're working on here. I'm going to come back to that subject in just a second. But we could not go to Concord without visiting the Orchard House, where I have not been for many years. I have not been since our last tour about 20 years ago when my aunt, who's now passed away, so I can say it, walked over the cord, into Louisa's bedroom and sat on the feather bed, much to the dismay of the tour guide who just did not know what to say. Yeah, my aunt was very sort of commandeering and brilliant and intimidating. And she just would do like a brrrp and, completely patronize and humiliate whoever she was talking to. The tour guide wished that she had not noticed her sitting on the featherbed. That was the same tour when my brother-in-law backed into a table and a giant priceless vase like teetered like this. And I was like, we just can't go here until, it sounds awful, but all of these people are not with us because it was that bad. So we went back with just Teddy. Jocelyn did not want to go. I don't know if you know Little Women or Louise May Alcott in general. This house was unbelievable. I forgot how great it was, and we couldn't take pictures inside. This is the house. It, they didn't want you to, and understandably, right? Because it's like something special, and they want people to come through. But it is actually the house where Louisa May Alcott wrote Little Women and Little Men, and I think all of her stories. She sat in her upstairs room at the desk that her dad built for her, like a circular desk that wrapped around one of the beams of her bedroom. Very unusual at that time for women to have a desk, because why would a woman need a desk, right? Women don't write. But he built one especially for her because he understood that she did write and she loved writing, and she ended up making a lot of money for the family with Little Women. But this is where it was written, and of course it was based on her family and her sisters, her whole family. But it's considered a work of fiction because, um, the character names are changed and all that. But it was one of these great things where, I mean, such an old house too. It was, I think they moved in like, I want to say the 1840s, something like that. It might have been the 1860s, but the house was even older. And it wasn't like it was a new house when they moved in, but beautiful old historic, low ceilings, just the atmosphere of all of those generations of people having lived there. And it was one of these living history tours that I know is not for everybody, but I love them, where they do like historical reenactment and they talk to you as if it was like the 1860s and want you to participate. So I could just see there was maybe a group of 8 of us because it was all timed and it was all sold out like months in advance. So we booked it like way ahead. And I could just tell other people, I could feel their energy shrinking away when Louisa opened the door and welcomed us to Orchard House like it was 1860. And most people just fell into the back. That is exactly the kind of situation that I live for. So, and Teddy too, to my great astonishment, loved this. And it was so much fun. I have not read Little Women since I was a little woman. But, we went from room to room, and there was a different actor in each room. First, Louisa greeted us as like an older, slightly older woman. And she was just lovely. And she told us that some of the kids in town were on the other side of the house working on a theatrical, and that we might want to participate at the end of the tour. And that's when people were, disappearing into the corners of the room. But we went from room to room. And Teddy was the first. He was the first in line. Yeah, he was up the stairs first, into the rooms first. And in every room, there was a different member of the family, a different actor playing a member of the family in the bedroom where in real life, they slept and lived their lives, right? So we met like the father, we met the sister May. She was the youngest one, very young and energetic. And she brought us into her room and showed us where she was allowed to, she had permission from her father, actually draw and paint on all over the walls of her bedroom, including the moldings around her windows, right on the wood and right on the walls. It's remarkable because it's original and it's right there, and they are beautiful drawings. that would be copyright free if you could take photos, which you can't. But it was just remarkable, mostly based on books that she read, like Greek myths and biblical stories and things like that, like recognizable stories, beautifully done. And she brought this little basket over to us, and she, being in the character of May, said, "Oh, you caught me while I was painting thimbles." And she said, "Oh, I always paint little thimbles. They were like little metal thimbles, normal thimbles for sewing." She said, "I paint them every year for my friends who sew, and I give them as gifts." And I thought, "Oh my God, that is so cute. I never heard that before." It was insanely cute. She showed the basket, and she had all these little thimbles in there, and she had a little station over in the corner of the room where her paints were out. Oh my God, it was fantastic. We just went from room to room. The whole thing was decorated for Christmas. It was amazing. But I have to say, because of my bad nature and my bad character, Kara, good to see you. The whole time we were walking through the house, the last thing I saw before we entered for the tour was this display of these handmade little dolls, right? They're like little, I don't know if they're clothespin dolls or what, but these were displayed, and I saw them, and they're based on different members of the family, like for real. And the top ones are the special Christmas edition ones, but you can see they're called handmade little women, and they're little sachet dolls. And I saw these and I thought, oh my God, I see four of them immediately that I need to have. And then it was suddenly like, okay, time for your tour. And we were getting ushered into the other room, and my bad nature. The first 20 minutes of the tour, all I could think to myself, instead of enjoying the tour, was, if I don't get that little Joe doll and that little Meg doll, I'm going to lose it. I wonder if someone's hands are touching my doll, right? And there was nothing to do about it because it was like time to go. I ended up getting the little dolls. Haven't even taken them out of the boxes yet. This is Joe, right? So this is the Louisa May Alcott character with her little apple from Orchard House and her little book. And God, I just love this stuff. This is one of the holiday. This is Holiday Joe, right? So there were more. I didn't realize there was multiples of each. The ones I was looking at were the display, but she's holding a little. I'm going to take them all out of the box. I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do with them. This is, who's this? This is Beth. Isn't Beth the one who doesn't make it? Oh, I got to reread that story. I don't know if I want to reread that story right now because I know there's some terribly sad parts, and this is Meg. I thought, and she's got a little basket of flowers. Some of, I have to go back. Some of them were like painting and doing whatever they did in real life. It was just amazing. And we got to the end, and there were some kids from the town, right, who were dressed up like Civil War era costumes, and they were practicing a play, and they wanted participants from the audience to, there's only 8 of us, to read some lines because some of the girls were sick and didn't show up. And Teddy wanted to, but then he realized they were all girls' parts, and then he didn't want to. So then because nobody would do it. And the woman, obviously it was like it was the mother or whatever. She was all dressed up. She had the papers there to read, and nobody would participate. So, for me, it's always like, oh, choose me, choose me, choose. So I got to sit down and read, and they harassed someone else into reading the other part, some little girl, but I had the best line to read. It was like the conclusion line of Little Women, and it was excellent. It was excellent fun. And then we stood around jingling jingle bells and singing Christmas carols. I mean, does it get any better than that? I mean, I honestly, I hadn't even had any drinks. It was right after breakfast. And I thought, man, I was so in the zone. It was just incredibly fun. It gave me lots of ideas for things that you will probably see as soon as New Year hits. I might go on a bit of a design bender with some of the Little Women stuff. We visited the Wayside Inn too. I don't know if you've ever been here. This is Longfellow's Wayside Inn in Sudbury, Mass. All the fruit on the doors and over the doors. I mean, isn't this just the ultimate? I mean, New England, Christmas, stores like this in the barn, pop-up stores open for Christmas. Unbelievable. Candy cranes, right, in the country store. It's so much that area. The candy store, right, the vast candy stores. It's my sister. The Christmas trees all over the place. I mean, this is back at the Colonial Inn, having breakfast or dinner or something. And then we went to Salem the next day because the kids wanted to go to some game stores, and we found some game stores. And man, Teddy said this was like the best stop he'd ever made. There were 2 game stores on the same street. absolute heaven. We got to see the bewitched statue of Tabitha in the center of Salem. It was super, super fun. Very mild. This is going to be one of my next rug designs. I absolutely love this. I'm not sure what the sculpture represents, but I just love this. I'm going to doctor the background, but this is something that you'll see in 2024. This is one of the best compositions I've ever accidentally taken. And we met this great bird called Sir Peter, the Stupendous. And he's a rescue bird that lives in one of the stores, and Joss completely fell in love with him. He fell in love with Joss. They had a great kind of rapport. It was almost like Peter had been, a soul from another time, and he personally knew Joss. It was like they recognized each other. It was very, very, very eerie, very fun. And then we got home, and Buttons the dog was beyond. Jay, thank God, was taking care of him, but beyond traumatized and happy to see us. So back to normal, back to business, back to life as it be. But what a great weekend. There is really something about doing all this historical stuff at this time of year is like extra special. I don't feel it as much in the summer. You know what I mean? As soon as we hit fall and Christmas, all this historical stuff really takes hold. Imagination takes hold. In fact, I had this another great idea. I picked these up at a gift store. Do you ever see these lying around at vintage stores? It was like 20 of them for $6. These are old. They're called I think they're called foil reflectors. They were to put on the Christmas tree. They come in different shapes and stuff. And you would put them on the Christmas tree by just wrapping it around a light so that the lights are reflected in different colors. But what I'm going to do with them, and I might do a video when I do it, and they're vintage, so they're not in perfect condition, but I needed some bling for the gifts instead of gift tags. So do you notice the center of all of these reflectors is like a little circle? I'm going to actually stretch probably some rug warp onto a backing and draw a bunch of circles this size. And I'm just going to do a pretty hooked center with the letter of the person whose name the gift will be for. You know, because we always do bling instead of tags in our family. And when I saw these, because I had no idea what my bling would be this year, I thought might be blingless. Panic! But I found these, and again, in all these different colors. And I thought, oh yeah, if I just hook the center here, and it even has circles on the back, right? So I could even sew through the cloth and secure it that way so there's no glue in the mix. And then I could run a string through in the little letter of the person, J for my sister Jessica, you know, T for Teddy. Each person, they have their own letter. It's on the gift. And then a little string hanging from the back of it, right? I thought, oh, that'll take, what, an hour to do like 15 of these, and I'll be all set for my bling. Always thinking about how I can incorporate hooking into, oh God, it made one of those tinfoil noises. Judy, you said the tree that you're working on, this one is just tied onto a dowel route and planted in a flower pot. I love that too. I was going to do a video with that too. We'll see if I have time, but I was going to do a video because I have this tree, right? That the reorder of this is coming today. So if you ordered the 13 or 16-inch tree with or without the bits, right, that I tied on myself, that is coming today. So she recut, the girl who makes them recut a bunch of them. They're arriving. Rita, I'm sending your stand. Spaghetti-O. You know, I knew I was off one stand. I'm sorry about that. But those are coming today. But I do want to do a video of what Judy's describing, of just taking like a teapot and putting a little bit of that green, what is it called, florist stuff, you know, like the foam, the florist foam, is that what it's called? And sticking like either a cinnamon stick or a branch from a tree in it, and then just tying like a bunch, like just right out, sticking it in, just tying a bunch of wool strips on the side, trying to keep it kind of in a shape of an evergreen, you know what I mean? I'll try to do a video just in case you don't know what I mean. One more thing before I start content. Look for this video later today. If you got the Jane Austen Advent Calendar, I have 2 days of flannel from the Vermont Country Store. This is all flannel that I bought last time I was in Vermont. I think it was 4th of July weekend, weirdly. But I do, Rita. I'm glad that it was you. I noticed I was one stand extra, and I thought, did they send me an extra? Or did I screw something up? And of course I screwed something up. But Rita wrote and said one of the stands was missing. I thought, At least I know, right? Because when I don't know, it drives 313. It drives me crazy in the middle of the night. Kirsten, great to see you. Beautiful and snowy in Vermont, isn't it? We're talking about Vermont right now because this flannel is from the Vermont Country Store. So if you have the Jane Austen Advent Calendar, you have a bunch of these long pieces of flannel. So I'm going to do a video later where I use the sewing machine, or you could hand sew, to turn these different strips and all these different colors into like ring garlands, like paper garlands, and then I'm going to hang it on the fireplace right here. So I'm going to do that later. There were 2 days of flannel strips, and it's all from the Vermont Country Store. And just so you know, we sold out of the Jane Austen Advent calendars. We stocked them twice and then sold out. But just so you know, if you end up watching the video and you think, oh, I really like that, but how much flannel do I have to buy to have a bunch of different patterns? The Vermont Country Store does, from time to time, have these big bags that are like 5 pounds of flannel strips that you can buy. And you can call them or you can write to them on their website and they will ship them. If they have them in stock, they will ship them. They love to know that they're used for something. They're like a no waste kind of a company, right? They love to thrift it up. So they love the idea. Every time I go through and I buy flannel strips from them, I usually buy all when I go through, but I haven't been through since July. So it might be that they have some for you. If you want to do a chain like I'm about to do or some other craft with them, just write to them because they will have the strips sooner or later, and maybe they have them right now. Cute snow up there in Vermont. It was cute. It was beautiful. Now we're going to make a trip we've been talking about Massachusetts, but let's head north to Canada. We were talking about New Brunswick. We were talking about the beautiful Barachois Church and Remy Levesque's big project. What went from being a idea to a dream to being realized as a project that became so large that the name of the project changed to the Barachois International Collection of Hooked Cushions, because it's not just local cushions, it's not just the USA 50, the 50 USA states, right? It turned into a much larger project than that. This church is filled with, if you didn't see last Wednesday's episode, this church in New Brunswick is filled with these beautiful cushions that hookers from all over the world have hooked. And they all have special meaning, and they are all there for visitors to see. And I do want to add, I got great information over the last few days that the church is seasonal. So if you do plan to go to Canada and one of your objects or high on your hit list is going to the Barachois Church, make sure that you check that it is during a season when they are open so you avoid disappointment, right? So important to say that, right? So this is the last one that we looked at together on Wednesday. This is by Patty Collin, and she's from London, Ontario. We concluded with this one because this one I'll just read you the synopsis, based on a window in St. Paul's Church that was damaged in the Halifax explosion of 1917, and Patty's parents survived that explosion. And I did look up that whole event after it, and I was blown away by the scale of that disaster. I'd never heard of it, which shame on me. But on top of that, it was kind of uncanny that on Wednesday, that was the anniversary to the day, December, whatever that was then, of the explosion. So that was really eerie that we were talking about it and looking at this particular rug on the day that it was in the anniversary of it. So it was in the news. Carol says, it was a privilege to have met Remy at Sauter Village this past summer. That's right, he was there this past summer. I was hoping to meet him, but as you know, I ended up not going. Hopefully I will meet him in Canada soon. Dawn, great to see you. I left you a message earlier, just so you know. Hello in Michigan. So I always want to pick up where we left off, just in case we are at a loose end kind of a thing. I don't think we had looked at this one yet because the Halifax thing was really large, and it seems like a somber and weighty note to end on. So this was the rug that was on deck, and this is a rug that I am just so in love with. Charlene Collette of Campbellton, New Brunswick. This is 30 by 45. We are only talking in centimeters while we're talking about these rugs. Centimeters, wool, cloth, yarn, and linen. And this is an interpretation of The Four Drummers, which is a painting by Lorne A. Julian. um, uh, uh, Micmac, Micmac, artist of Nova Scotia. I am not good with these names. I'm sorry. I'm very good with like Native American tribes and names. As soon as we leave the U.S., I am not good. Hope I didn't just completely destroy that. But this is a beautiful composition. The four drummers, I'm guessing, are birds. I don't know the story personally, but I think as a motif, this is unreal. This pattern is just beautiful with alternating colors, beautiful warm chocolate ground. I don't know this story. I'd be so curious. I'm going to have to look the story up. Um, yeah, I'm wondering. I'm wondering what the nature of it is, because we have four birds flying together, and they are beautifully patterned. Um, yeah, beautiful, unusual colors, cool blues against the warm brown, white outlines, right? It's just a gorgeous composition. If you know the story, you recognize the scene in it, then maybe it's extra meaningful. For me, I just love it as a design, and it's exciting to know that there is more to dig in. We're just scratching the surface, just looking at it. But now I'm going to have to look up the story because the design is just beautiful. It's beautiful as an illustration. It stands alone as a design. Super successful pattern. Absolutely incredible color planning. I can't say I have ever seen this. If someone showed me these four colors, the two blues, the red, and the sienna, and then of course we have the neutrals, yellow and black, and a little bit of color in the beaks too, right? If somebody showed me a strip of these like a paint swatch, I would say, no, I never saw that rug before. It's so different. I've never seen these colors together. And I think it's amazing. Very striking. Has a bit of an Art Nouveau feel to it. Beautiful repeat pattern. Just a gorgeous, gorgeous piece. This one as well. Ron Jackson from Beausejour, Man. So I guess that's maybe Manitoba, Canada. 40 by 40 centimeters wool, polyester backing, and fiber stuffing. So this might be polyester rug warp, I'm guessing, maybe. And this is, the description says, a puffin head. As a bird photographer, I was impressed by seabirds in Newfoundland, especially the puffin. What a beautiful motif. Now, again, these are pillows in the Barachois Church, and they're small. So I'm giving you the sizes on them all, but they're all like 30 by 30, 40 by 40 centimeters. So these are relatively small pieces. And for that reason, I think the people who have taken on hooking projects, and we are among those people, many of us I know hooked pillows for the church, realize that you really have to put an image together that is um, interesting, but also not over ambitious because of the small size, right? And I think we are really seeing masters in this collection of pillows, all of these images. This is just a gift to be able to have this. But people have been remarkably smart about choosing their compositions wisely and going with the less is more um, philosophy. And there are a lot of little flowers here, but they are all flowers, right? Just like with the birds, with the four drummers. It could be a busy composition, but they're all birds. And your eye immediately says, oh, collection of birds, collection of flowers. Many of these compositions are so smartly done, the person realized, I can't go crazy and do like a Grandma Moses scene, can I? That ain't going to work. And they're just very, very, they're perfect, right? The balance in them for me is perfect. It's like a moment, it's a glimpse, it's a little wrinkle in time. Just looking at them is just like, whew, that is perfect. Joanne Potter, this is from Spring Hill, Nova Scotia, 33 by 42. This is all wool. As welcome as the flowers in spring. This mat represents the rug hooking group that meets weekly at my house called the Ladies of the Night. That is so fun, isn't it? I wonder if there's a flower for each of the ladies of the night. That would be adorable. Really, really fun. Great compositions, right? I mean, normally when we see rug hooking compositions, we see such a mix of big and small, epic sized pieces, and then much smaller pieces. With this book, we know that all of these pieces are pretty much the same size. They're quite small. And it's interesting because it does get you thinking about the difference between when you're sitting at your blank piece of paper, your blank canvas, and you're thinking, what can I design for my next piece? It's nice to think about what other people have done with smaller compositions, particularly if you're a beginner and you plan to take a Sharpie and a piece of burlap and just draw something. What a great inspiration book this is, because it's showing you pieces and compositions that work in a small format. This is a gorgeous piece. This was the thumbnail for the Wednesday show. So this is by Rochelle Poirier, and she is from Shediac, New Brunswick. This is 45 by 41 centimeters, knitting wool and polyester cotton jersey on linen backing, right? It's, Canadians use such different materials than we do in the U.S. 9 out of 10 times it's like wool on linen for us, right? That seems to be the general preference. It's so all over the place when we're looking at the supplies and backings. For Canadians, we're still seeing a lot of burlap, and why not, right? But also this one's on linen, lots of mixed fibers, right? No hesitation about using mixed fibers. I love that mentality. Rochelle wrote, I wanted to make a reference to music, an important element of the cultural and patrimonial asset that the Barachois Historic Church represents. This really is beautiful, simple piece of a woman singing, but God, is it stylized? Is it gorgeous? The music floating through the air, the dark, right? It's almost like a concert, like an evening concert, just music floating through the darkness, right? Across the room. And the face is very sort of haunted expression, very passionate face, happy. I love the lines. It's very simple and graphic, which you know is my favorite style. It's really, really artistic. The shape of the lips, right? The curve around the mouth, the little bit of a cleft to the chin, the high, really dramatic brows, the big eyes, a little bit of shadowing above the eyes, right? Little tints of color, beautiful swirl to the hair, few highlights on beautiful ginger hair. It's just a gorgeous piece. The skin and the neck are the same color. Little darkness to the side of the nose, the edge of the cheek. It's very, very smart. Very graphic, very smart. It reminds me of a lot of early 20th century Parisian posters, right? That you see like in the subway system. That graphic style that came at the end of the Art Nouveau style. So, just very, very stylized and smart. Um, it's semi-realism, isn't it? It really is exquisite. It's an extraordinary piece. This one I found really striking. That's why I used it on Wednesday. All of the pieces I love in here. I'm not showing all of them, just so you know. There's many more. If you're able to get a copy of the book, you absolutely should. There's more in here than I can cover. This is by Lena Godbout of, again, Shediac, New Brunswick, 46 by 46, wool on linen backing, Acadian color sailboat. Very pretty graphic, right? Very simple lines, really unexpected. It's on a white ground instead of a blue background, right? We're not just seeing a white sail on blue water and blue sky. We're seeing the negative of it, the reverse, a blue sail with a little bit of white striping on a completely white background. It's just an unusual crop. It's an unusual handling of a boat because we're not seeing the elements that are normally what we associate with nautical scenes, right? The air, the water. We're not seeing those elements. Those are the parts that are left out, right? We're just seeing the shape of the boat, right? Just the subject. It's a really interesting handling of a nautical subject. I thought that was just beautiful. Here's another beautiful one. Teresa English of London, Ontario, 40 by 40, hand-dyed blue wool fabric on a linen background. The night sky makes the beautiful old church stand out. That's what she said. So she decided to hook the church, and this is just beautiful. I think it's really sweet and meaningful to hook a church for the church. Beautiful lines. I love the slope and the sweep of the body of the church, right? It's an architectural motif, but it is still very stylized. It's a very loose interpretation of this specific church. I don't recognize the church myself, but I love the shape and the way that the windows are shaped out. It looks almost like, an European church. I'm sure it is probably of the same kind of age. and the kind of swirl where the stone makes the moldings right inside the church windows, where the stone is like the stained glass. There is inset glass in between stone, but there are moments of like fine filigree type stone that is the same color as the church. You see that a lot in Europe, and I know you also see that in Canada. We don't often see that in the US unless it's a much older church, but absolutely beautiful, very dramatic, night sky, lots of movement in the sky, a little bit of light behind the church windows, makes you guess a little bit, but otherwise dark, right? Just a beautiful, simple, very serene scene. Absolutely gorgeous. This is another gorgeous one that is very different. So this is by Helena Bork of Grand Barachois, New Brunswick. 35 by 38 centimeters, wool on linen backing, orchids in peat bog. So it was created for an exhibition that was part of the 2009 Congrès Mondial Acadien. So we talked about that in the introduction of the book, that event. But beautiful piece. It is hooking on some kind of a woven fabric. My photos are not great today. I'm so sorry. I did not realize that a corner of my lens was, I must have touched it with my like fingerprint. And I didn't notice, and I took a ton of photos for you, and then it was too late to go back, and redo them and show up for the show. But this is just it's just a beautiful sort of rendering, simple composition, tuft of flowers, very three-dimensional flowers in a novelty kind of a crazy fiber. Um, and then the really strong directional hooking, that sort of nest of greenery, lights, darks, right? Some in silhouettes, some brights, just a beautiful, beautiful composition on a yellow ground with a stripe of orange next to it. Very graphic piece, but also a very organic piece. It's a real 50-50 mashup. It is really like botanical, very botanical, three-dimensional feel, but then it has a strong graphic quality. It's a very unusual piece. Strikes a really specific chord. I would love to see some of her other work. I think some of it is in this book. We might have even seen some of Helena's other work on the Wednesday show. Judy says that's very different. It is very different. And just also a great idea, isn't it? Really different. All right, let's see. Let's cruise to the next one. Also very different. This is Sheila Mitchell of Victoria, British Columbia. 33 by 30 hand-dyed wool fabric on unbleached linen backing, hooked motif of leaves in 3 blocks. So very, very neat. So the composition for this piece is horizontally skinny, right? It's a skinny long piece. And then to make it the size for the pillow, she's added some very complementary fabric that she's sewn to the top and bottom. And that fabric becomes part of the composition. And to make it even more unexpected, the fabric she has looks like some kind of ticking, or it's striped in any case. And on top, she's got it horizontally oriented, and on the bottom, she's got it, vertical on top, horizontal on the bottom. So really unexpected. And she's got it kind of framed out so that the opening of one of the stripes is right over that central flower. Geometrically, it's a very pleasing piece to look at. Very soft colors, right? Really unexpected. Pulling on that peach that is in both the background of the striping and the background of that main hooked flower. This peachy mottled color with a few little dark shadows in there. Maybe grayish green leaves. It's hard to tell because I'm taking a photo of photos, but absolutely beautiful. And then kind of a light greeny, maybe light pistachio kind of a color. Unexpected, right? We're not seeing green leaves or autumn leaves. Unexpected colors. Really pretty handling. And I'm wondering if she used, let's see what she said. Oh, she just said hooked motif of leaves in 3 blocks. She probably, my guess would be that the inspiration is the fabric that she's used as part of the composition, because color-wise, it's exactly the same. That can't be a coincidence, right? She must have had an idea that she wanted to do this. And it is interesting to think about and to remind ourselves that using fabric in this way is a smart thing to do in conjunction with hooking. Right? When we are hooking loops, we're creating a tapestry of loops, right? Using our hooks or punches or whatever. But we create a collection of loops that have high relief. Well, they're on backing that is made of fabric, right? Whatever backing you use, it's fabric. And, if you combine it with other fabrics like this, there's so many different ways that you could do that. It opens up like an infinity number of possibilities, right? That was poorly said, but you know what I mean. It's really interesting to just go through your fabrics and say, this one I've held on to for a long time. I've always loved this. I don't have enough of it to whatever, make curtains, reupholster, whatever, even make a pillow. Maybe it's enough to do something in conjunction with some hooking, right? Just so you can get that piece out of the craft room and into a finished object, right? That you will look at. Really interesting. Really interesting. Good ideas. With this many examples, right? This many hooked pieces in one book, we're getting a lot of great ideas and great inspiration. This piece is by Marie Claude Hebert from Cocagna. I'm sure I'm massacring these words, I'm sorry. New Brunswick, 45 by 45 centimeters, various materials and yarns on linen backing, and it's called Three Eggs. Beautiful little robins, looks like robin's egg blue, doesn't it? In a little nest, golden nest, straw colored yellows, really pretty, very realistic, right? So it's almost like it's realistic and a little out of focus, bit of a graphic quality to it. Really simple, very sweet, great message, new life just starting, new beginnings, right? Hopeful, beautiful promise in this piece. Darker border with the same kind of color families that we're seeing within the robin's egg blue, but a little bit darker. Those dark shadow colors that are dark, dark, dark brown. Little bit, tiny bit of the yellow in the border as well. Very, very smart piece. And again, thinking with smaller pieces, thinking about what motifs are appropriate, right? That is part of the trick when you are doing something like a cushion, because it's such a small size. We're looking at like small motifs and patterns. And here's a great example of a pattern. This is by Caroline Simpson of Fredericton, New Brunswick. And this is 35 by 42 hand-dyed wool on linen based on a Renaissance pattern known as Florentine pattern. So this is interesting. Let me put the book down and come closer for a minute. Hang on while I have a sip of my energy drink here. You know what this reminds me of? Sometimes when you see Florentine end papers that are like these kinds of colors, right? Really bright kind of spring colors, but you see gold. She's used the dark brown to do all the swirls and filigree in the background, but you often see Florentine work, right, which is like Renaissance style work with lots of golds on book plates, illustrations on old books and illuminations, that kind of things. If you have any paper stores that you've been to or you remember, we see less and less of this kind of thing today, right? These kinds of stores you see rarely. But I know in the past I can remember going to a few different paper stores, maybe 20 plus years ago, where they would have these giant. I do too, Andrea. That one is really pretty. They had these giant racks that almost look like paper towel racks, but much longer, right? Almost like wallpaper, right? But there was just a single piece of paper, like marbled paper, hand marbled paper. You remember stores like this? Sometimes card stores had a section where there would be like materials for end papers and scrapbooking. This was pre-Cricut and Sizzix and all of that. But you would see like just like piece after piece of beautiful papers that had been hand done, whether they were printed or marbled or what. And there would often be beautiful examples of Florentine papers, right? You see this also in Italy, particularly like in Venice. In the back roads, you see people who make books and do leather book binding, and they always have Florentine style papers to put as the end papers. But this is a great example of a Florentine style. Oops, I did it again. Oops, I did it again. Sorry about that. This is a great example because it really has the shapes and the colors. And again, there's a substitution of the dark for the gold, but otherwise it really does, and why not, right? This is an interpretation of, and it's a great sort of abstract based on the Renaissance pattern. It's just beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. Florentine for the city of Florence, right? So this is very Italian styling, and it's a great interpretation. It's very different, but you do get the feel of a Florentine pattern, right? If you're not sure what I'm talking about, make sure you look it up because that is a whole world and wealth of inspiration looking at that school of patterning, right? It's great for us as rug hookers. Another great motif, another great simple motif, beautiful nautical subject, right? Rebecca Wellner of Stratford, Prince Edward Island, Canada, 39 by 36. This is wool strips on linen. Crabs live in all the oceans of the world and are prevalent in the red waters between Prince Edward Island and New Brunswick. Or the water is red there. I didn't know that. I would never have thought that either. What makes water red? I have to ask. Does anybody know? Is it like lots of life, lots of. Because I wouldn't associate like reefs with the kind of climate in the water off Canada. But I could be absolutely wrong, right? I certainly don't know. But I wonder what makes it red. The ground is red. Oh, like the sand is red, Kirsten? Is it like red sand, like clay type sand? I'm so curious about this now. This is the opposite of what I would have thought. I would have thought it would have been blue, blue gray, and more blue gray. Sand and rocks. Interesting. Oh, that is interesting. I like that. The red water. Beautiful piece, right? Beautiful composition. Great body, great form, great weight to this crab. Beautiful subject in the center. He looks very ornamental, doesn't he? His legs are perfectly splayed, right, to be quite geometric. A little bit of variety there, a little bit of interest. The body has this concentric hooking happening with a textured or patterned wool. And then all of the the claws and the legs have a little bit of shading, but same colors. So it's all making sense. The eyes really stand out right at the front of his body. And then the waters around really echo the shape of his shell because it's all concentric hooking, right? Right around the legs, right around the body, going right out to the edges of the composition. Nice, neat little bar of kind of a warm gray going right around the edge. And then it has a hooked, the photo is cropped a little bit. I can see that there's a hooked kind of rope design on the very border of it. Really, really stunning piece. Very striking. Let's do one more. I just shut my book, but let's do one more. There's so many nice things to look at in this book. I'm telling you. It's going to be hard to stop, man. I'm not going to want to stop. That's the thing. Okay, Doris Ann Savoy of Indian Mountain, New Brunswick, 36 by 38, new and recycled wool. Um, and it says white wool. I'm wondering if it's hooked onto wool. Not sure. Doesn't matter. What matters is this is absolutely gorgeous. I wanted to honor members of the First Nations that are buried behind the church. Interpretation of uh, Mi'kmaq woman. That's the name of it. A painting by, oh, same artist, Lorne A. Julian, a Mi'kmaq artist of Nova Scotia. I'm going to take a picture of that because that's the second time that we've heard that name, Lorne A. Julian, and I don't know that name. I want to familiarize myself because it might come up more in future episodes of us looking at this book. Oh, Dave! Deposits of iron oxide will produce. Oh, God. You are obviously. Thank you. Thank you for that. I am being a profound knucklehead. Obviously, iron, right, makes red. Why didn't I think of that? I just don't associate. I associate red with like the desert, and like South America beaches, and I don't know. I don't know. My brain's not on. I guess I'm not firing. I had too much of a good time away. My brain is trying to get back into the game. Thank you. Of course, that makes perfect sense. There must be beautiful beaches there, I have to say, because I'm guessing you also have rocks that are like gray and blue and purple. They must be like rainbow colored beaches. It sounds absolutely stunning. This is a stunning piece. This is so unusual. This is one of my favorite pieces in the book so far. You know, just the crop is really interesting because it's such a feminine crop. If there's one thing that really defines the shape of a woman, right? If you work on composition, you just think about art. It's not always boobs, is it? Because it's like big boobs, small boobs, whatever. That's not always the telltale. but it's the contour, right? It's like the shape of a woman, ideally, not for me at this moment, but is this beautiful sweeping hourglass. And really, to me, if I were to choose a crop that says like this is a woman, it would be the hourglass part of her body, right? Everything else is like up for grabs, no pun intended. But the hourglass part is just very, very um, sort of sensual silhouette, very sleek, very willowy, just beautiful, beautiful shape. I love the way this is done. I love that there was no attempt to put further information into it. This is what we needed, right? This is all we need to get that the representation is of a woman. Very simple lines, as simple as it could be to be this perfect. I love that there's no attempt at the hands, or it's just the hands are disappearing into the pockets or behind the dress. Doesn't matter, right? The sweep of the torso and the waist is what we're looking for. Absolutely, absolutely beautiful. It's a gorgeous piece. I just love that piece. I just love the idea of it. Dave said Prince Edward Island sells dyed T-shirts known as dirt shirts. Are they? They're dyed with the rock, like the rock ground up to make the color. Is that how they're dyeing the shirts? See, this is the stuff I love to know, because when I travel somewhere, obviously I'm going to need a dirt shirt. That like goes without being said, because we don't have them here. So I will definitely need them. It's just like these dolls, right? Obsessing about the thing that's a souvenir to go with the place. There's nothing better than souvenirs. And just the idea of the souvenir, right? And this whole book is a souvenir, right? This whole book is a souvenir. Just the whole idea, to remember, right? Souvenir to remember. So, like, just the idea that when you go away from something that you loved what you saw, you loved what you felt, you loved what you heard and what you've learned, and then you take something away from it, whether it's a book or a shirt or a doll, sachet, or whatever. That's the thing, isn't it? Because then you can look at that thing forever and try to bring back that feeling of excitement and all the ideas that went through your head when you saw it. That was the thing for me with the Alcott house, was like, I need to have these dolls, because I had such a good feeling when I was there. It was so intense, the Christmassy feeling, the age of the house, the smell of the house, all of the trees, all of the little candles that were lit. It was like I wish that I could recollect that smell and the feel and the look of when I wanted to. It doesn't work like that, does it? You have to depend on your souvenirs to bring you back there, and a good memory. So, but yeah, viva the souvenirs. Yes, dyed with red mud. That is so interesting. I'm going to also have to Google dirt shirts. Yeah, that's very catchy too. I'm going to get going. I have got to record that video on the flannel chain, right? I'm going to go sew that and record a video right now. I'm going to work on some orders, and I'm not even sure what I'm going to do. I was out of the game for 3 days, and now it's hard putting my brain back to work. It's very hard. I'm sure you know that feeling. I'm going to work on some stuff. I'll see if I can get to this video too. I'm going to measure my centers here and get as many little circles onto one piece of backing as I can. This is a great opportunity to use my scraps of backing, isn't it? And I'm going to see how pretty and full I can make these centers. They're going to look like little flowers. Super excited. Bunch of projects on all burners that I will share with you as soon as I make some progress. Andrea, it is nighttime for you, isn't it? We'll have a great afternoon, evening, everybody, and I will be back with you on Wednesday. Look for some videos in the meantime. There are new products out that are going along with the Very Jane Austen month, right? Very Jane Austen Christmas this month. The story has been carrying on the YouTube channel, in the Facebook group, and in Patreon. I'm collecting the answers because it is a choose your own adventure. I'm collecting answers as we go along, and the consensus kind of dictates where the story goes next. And I'm getting a lot of funny comments that you all are making at the end of the stories. I'm loving reading your comments. It's actually giving me more great ideas. So yeah, it's been a lot of fun. I hope you're enjoying that. But there are a line of patterns that are coming out that are in the style of Jane Austen, sort of Regency style patterns. And you are about to see in the next couple of days a couple of new crazy 8 sets of wool that are Regency colors. You're going to be seeing it either tomorrow or the next day. Like Jane's wardrobe, like clothing colors, like as a set of crazy 8s, and Jane's drawing room. So then more like sort of wallpapery colors. So there'll be two very soft Regency sets of wool that are coming out. I haven't put a new set of Crazy Eights out since the fall. So there'll be two new sets of Crazy Eights this week. Be looking out for that. Have a great day. I will see you all on Wednesday, same time, noon, on the Ribbon Candy Hooking channel. If you have more entries for me, we are concluding gallery night this weekend. I haven't decided if it's going to be Friday or Saturday yet, but it will be one or the other. Teddy's birthday weekend, so I'm kind of working around his movements, but it will be one or the other. If you have something you want to send in and you didn't send it in for the last gallery night, I could squeeze a few more things in this time. Ribboncandyhooking@gmail.com. Have a great afternoon.